brother.
Yeah.
All right?
See you in a bit.
Canyon is about racing, it's about winning. On everything the brand does, this is the philosophy of the owner. We are always aiming for better.
If you are a brand like Canyon, you go for the top. You want to build the best bikes. Like if it's for the best racers in the world, you want to see them winning.
We try to develop everything we can to be the fastest.
This bike that I'm looking at that we've got here right now is like the most time and effort we've ever put into any race bike ever. So really like resonates with me and I'm really happy to ride every day.
My first impressions were like, okay, that's a weapon, that's like a proper race bike, and that motivated me.
For me, downhill is a place of expertise where you will push boundaries in terms of development, technology, and performance. And it's an opportunity for the brands to really explore what's new, what next.
Downhill's developed a lot in the past 5 years. Every team has a big race truck, big semi-trailer.
In terms of mental prep, physical prep, also the fact of realizing that talent is not only the topic, but that hard work behind that.
If you're not pushing the limits and trying to find, you know, those milliseconds on the bike, and also as a rider, you're just going to fall behind.
You can definitely tell that everything's getting way more professional and teams are investing at like stuff they wouldn't invest in like 5 years ago. Like dedicated engineers that only do like frame stiffness, for example.
Then you start working with things like computers on bikes, like data analytics to make sure things are absolutely perfect.
The old bike, you know, having it for 4 years, the sport and the tracks change massively. You know, we've gone from a lot steeper technical, kind of slower tracks to now they're just straight and fast.
Square edge bumps and holes and roots and rocks and like there's just so much like, and then the race line gets absolutely destroyed, so.
Back in the days, you would play with the terrain and actively, with your body, commit to a certain placement of the bike. Nowadays, you demand to the bike to just charge into the line, to the next braking point, and corner as fast as you can.
It's a learning process over the years, and with every generation, we learned something new, and with every generation, we improved. Without the previous bikes, we couldn't have done what we have done with this bike.
And I felt like we were at the very end of that old generation bike, and this one kind of came at the perfect time. Because pretty early on, we started figuring out what the current sender was doing and what we wanted to change and make better. And
we even made a dedicated bike to like try those different things.
We actually called it Frankenstein at the beginning of the test because the idea was to be able to have in one bike many options of competitor bikes, but also options we were thinking could be right.
It came with like a whole like manual, like this big.
It was heavy, to say the least, like the heaviest bike I've ever ridden.
It's basically 5 entirely different bikes condensed into a single one. It tests different parameters and independent from each other.
We obviously had a setting that is very close to what we have now on this new race bike. And as soon as I put it in that setting, I was like, this is the one.
They all were going kind of in the same direction.
The mule allowed us to keep, for instance, the leverage ratio 100% identical, and that allowed us to truly discover the impact of axle path on suspension performance.
We changed everything that we possibly could do. Coolest part about it, that every one of the riders that rode it came back to the kinematic that's currently on the new bike.
I didn't need to ride the mule again. It was just clear as day to what we wanted.
We quickly realized that the Rearward axle pass was a key feature to get traction. Traction, sensitivity, and comfort at the beginning of the travel. And we actually went really far with the mule. But we found at some point when you were going too far at the beginning of the travel, you were actually creating a lot of unbalance of the athletes. Understand one thing is that your feet position are completely related between the two axles. So once this one goes back, it completely changed the ratio of front and rear center.
We have 17 millimeters of rearward axle pass from 0% to sag to assure a good small bump compliance, and only 6mm Rearward axle pass from sag to 2/3 of travel, to keep on carrying the suppleness from initial stroke into mid-stroke. But we didn't want to go as rearward as other high pivot bikes on the market, to still maintain a certain pushability in the suspension from sag to 100%.
And I believe that we are bang on the right spot. That was to be able to have a good balance of the rider, but still this capacity to charge with the chassis.
We've also increased the anti-squat sprinting behavior significantly.
Keep the possibility of the bike to still generate some speed, which is one of the challenges with the high pivots.
To have it excel out of turns and to give the rider ability to push and pump and generate speed.
For me, it's the perfect combination.
We want to achieve with this new suspension design that we have the fastest bike on track, always. So now we decided to go with different shock mounts, different styles you can run. Is the track steeper like Val di Sole and very rough? Do you need a more progressive setting sometimes? Or is it linear because you have some fast cornering?
What was super important for us was to maintain our MX Link legacy, to have the leverage ratio and the progression fine-tunable to the liking of our riders. We packaged a BB height adjust as well in there to have a little bit more ground clearance for the rougher tracks.
On the one side, we have the kinematics. Other side, you have to put the shock into a really good position that the kinematics works with it.
We approached our suspension partners and try to develop together with them the correct tune that really brings the performance of the center where it needs to be.
Each of the Sainte generations is looking a little bit different, I would say. We always wanted this compact mainframe, this really long and fast looking silhouette, and also the freedom for the rider to tilt the bike, to sprint with it. Super compact, super low.
Compact and low concentrated mass is delivered from this high pivot. So it's for sure very, very an appreciated feature, all the weight on the right spot of the bike.
My side, as a mechanic and former racer, I wanted to have a bike that's easy to wrench on, because if you go for a race weekend as a privateer, you don't have much time. So we opted for a way so you can bowl check pretty much everything without taking anything apart.
Not everybody who owns this bike has their own mechanic, for sure. So we put in to have everything included in a box to wrench it easily, to maintenance it easily.
To bring more help to the privateers especially, we try to improve our assembly instructions. We will have a dedicated Canyon suspension app. Every rider in his garage can do the same job.
On this bike, we also kept onto the threaded inserts. So if something goes pear-shaped when you're wrenching, you can just exchange the insert and then you're good to go.
The down tube from Sainte is really tough. We have the stitched CFR fiber into the down tube, so it's really, really resistant to all these rocks and stuff hitting the down tube.
We wanted to keep the reach caps from the previous bikes, but the seats for the cups are now made of aluminium and the whole area gets post-machined.
The new version of the Sainte's reliability and how it stood up to real-world demands has genuinely been outstanding.
Obviously, it's the third generation of the bike now, so it's like what you've learned from the first two, you pull into the third one, and the little issues that we had with those first two bikes have been rectified.
The main chassis itself is probably outlived me, I reckon.
Like Troy ran the same frame for the entire year last year and it was mint. So, I mean, I hate to use the word perfect, but in my eyes it is.
My first impressions were like, okay, that's a weapon, that's like a proper race bike.
Yeah, like everything that I've been wanting and feeling and kind of felt like it was holding me back that year just kind of all went away. It's just like, oh, cool, this is the one.
It had this planted feeling that they've been searching for on the previous bike, that at these modern speeds that these guys are going, they need that. Like, it's just confidence inspiring.
The grip you can generate when you push into turns is just incredible. How much more stable it was going fast. On the brakes was awesome as well. Go a bit deeper into travel, makes you feel a bit more stable, more into the bike.
It can jump really good and it can go through DH really good, like technical areas.
It's a completely different feeling bike. The old bike was very pumpy and didn't feel like it had a massive amount of travel in the rear, where this one feels like it's got so much more to give.
There was like beginning stroke grip, mid-stroke grip and end stroke grip, which is like the holy grail of grip.
I always looking the bike from the hood side before, a lot of good results, so if the guy can win with this bike, I probably can win too.
Developing a bike to the scale of the Sender requires a vast array of skill sets, different experiences, different points of view to come together.
I mean, it's a huge satisfaction, and you validate it by feeling, but you also validate it with the clock.
2024, the bike was still in development. It was still a prototype, so it was for sure a risk.
As soon as we did that first team camp, they were like sending emails like, we need to be racing this bike.
There's no better real-world test bench than World Cup racing. And that's what we did. We went racing.
For William last year, when I see Troy, Luca on the podium and Tane in the woman being right out there with this new chassis that was a year and a half development, for me, I have goosebumps.
Yeah, straight away, the results were good. We were on pace, Troy and I both. It was a sigh of relief, but it was also like just super validating.
I won semis and got second in the race. It was like a relief almost to be like, okay, my feelings are true and it is fast. So
it's always a bit nerve-wracking. You jump on a new chassis and you're like, that you've been developing for like a long time. And then you go like, here you go, let's go race it at a World Cup, see what happens.
When they proved they could do it, that definitely kept the ball rolling into the rest of the season.
Mont Sainte-Anne's been a blessing and a curse for us. Like, we've had some insane results there.
I was having fun, like in practice on my bike, not really taking it too crazy serious, just like there and enjoying it. And then, yeah, next minute it all unfolded to an amazing weekend with a win. So,
and when he crossed the line, it took me a few seconds to actually like see it and be like, holy shit, he's actually just won this thing. That feeling is why you do it. When you fight for it and then you achieve what you've set out to do, it's like walk away, job done.